Good morning. We have arrived. Nothing further is required now that you're here. It's nice just to show up in the garden, isn't it? And just look around and see what's here. I got a little bait and switch pulled on me with the koan for today. Um, I was trying to usually how I pick a koan for either for a talk or for my life, or for somebody else's life or whatever, is to just try to just do what we were just doing, sink in and see, well, what's here. And then it's a kind of reverse engineering thing with the koan rather than picking a koan at random or from a curriculum and then seeing what comes out of it. It's in a way, it's just what koan is my life naming. What koan is this right now? And I could feel myself really reaching around for it. And I thought, oh, yeah, every day is a good day. That's the one. And then this morning I realized, oh, that's not the one at all. Actually, there's this other one that more, it's really just about what is accurately describing, what is most accurately describing the experience of my life right now. Where's the juice at? And I was sitting with every day is a good day. I just thought, God, it's like squeezing it this way and squeezing it that way. And never seems to work with koans. Like you can get a little bit of juice, but it's not very satisfying. And then you have to keep squeezing and something kind of weird. You get a bunch of pulp in there and it's kind of gross. And there's something about, I mean, just that phenomenon of whatever is alive is always arising and it's always here. And so can I just be with that? Not picking and choosing, right? Whatever's here. I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm whatever it is, I'm free, I'm not free, whatever it is. So the koan that came up this morning was I was close. It's another Yunmen koan, so at least I got the right teacher. But so Yunmen taught everybody has a light inside. So that's a promising start. Even you, even you have a light inside. It doesn't belong to you though, so don't worry about it. You don't have to maintain it or anything. When you're looking for it, you can't see. It's dark, hidden, it's dim. All you can see is shadows. If you've done Zen for, more than about 60 seconds, you probably know what this experience is. I think I know I'm supposed to be looking for something, or I think I know I'm supposed to be finding something, or I think I know. And then my experience is just that I get flooded with all sorts of ideas about how my mind should be, or what I should be experiencing, or what the koan is about, or whatever it was. So when you're looking for it, you can't see. It's a kind of like, it's kind of fun. See, you're either completely screwed because you can't use any strategies to find it, or you're completely free already because there's nothing left to do. It's kind of nice. What is this light that everybody has? Which is, one thing that's great about this koan is you can take any piece of it. Sort of true with any koan, but this one is particularly dense in that way. You can take any piece of it and it will take you there. What is this light that everybody has? And then he answers himself, and I don't know if he waited for people to respond or if he just, ran over the top of them, but the kitchen pantry, the entrance gate, the water bottle, the rakusu, the ohia trees, whatever it is, your thing, the rose bushes, the guitar shop, the abstract painting, the ukulele, whatever it is. That's the light. Then here's the punchline. Then he said, "It's better to have nothing than something good." So that's the kind of part that hooked me. And it's really just fun. Like it just runs in the face of how my mind wants to do my life, which is kind of that hungry ghost thing about, well, what's the next thing? What's the next thing I need to get? What's the next thing I need to accomplish? What's the next thing I need to get rid of? What's the next thing? Yeah. You all are like gobblers of dregs running around back and forth trying to get things. When will you meet today? And so that thing about it's all just right here. It's better to have nothing than something good. And so yeah, so that's an accurate description actually of it. And it's kind of a fun little story. I was, for whatever reason, I've been thinking about how I got into Zen, and I think maybe somebody asked me about it not too long ago. And so I trot out this story. This happened, and then that happened, and then my dad turned me on to it, and then I got into it myself, and blah blah blah. But it's kind of sweet. Well, actually, part of it I think is that we're moving away from Hawaii. We're moving back to California, and so we're looking at what do we want to take and what do we want to leave behind. Better to have nothing than something good, especially when you're moving, right? And one of the things I came upon was these books that when I very first got into Zen, my dad gave me. Some of you may have a copy of this somewhere. Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. That's the Gateless Gate and the Oxfording Pictures, and then 101 Zen Stories. And I remember that was like after Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, which is a very helpful book. I started reading Zen Flesh, Zen Bones, and I remember reading through these and going, like, I could tell that there was something there. It's like, wow, these people are really onto something. I have no idea what they're talking about, but there's something there that felt, I don't know, that felt like it was. I was going to say it felt like what I was looking for, but it wasn't what I was looking for. Actually, it totally subverted and undermined what I was looking for, which I think was to try to arrange my mind in a certain way so that I wouldn't things wouldn't be so hard. And then here come all these stories, and there's so much play, I think, and delight in these. And I went, oh yeah, okay. There's something about whatever it is that they've got. And I saw that in retreats too. I'd go to PZI retreats and teachers would talk, and I think, thank God somebody's talking. I don't have to sit anymore. My kneecaps feel like they're about to fly across the room, and my spine is about to curl in half. And they'd talk about things. I go, what in the hell are these people talking about? But there was something in there that struck me and felt, yeah, there was some deep part of me that I didn't quite have contact with that they were striking. I thought, yeah, if I can get in contact with that, that might be a good thing. It's I kept coming back and having no idea what they were talking about. Still don't half the time, but so this is one of these fun little stories that resonated with me then and resonated with me now. Ryokan, a Zen master, lived the simplest kind of life in a little hut at the foot of a mountain. One evening, a thief visited the hut only to discover there was nothing in it to steal. The master returned and caught him. You may have come a long way to visit me, he told the prowler, and you should not return empty-handed. So it's like, that's the first turn, right? What? That's kind of sweet, right? Yeah, better to have nothing than something good. You may have come a long way to visit me, and you should not return empty-handed. Please take my clothes as a gift. The thief was bewildered. The teacher's like taking off his clothes. You just imagine him brushing them off, folding them neatly, and handing them. The thief was bewildered. He took the clothes and slunk away. The teacher sat naked, watching the moon. Poor fellow. I wish I could give him this beautiful moon. That's the thing, right? And kind of beautiful that I think the just the generosity of the world. I notice. I think that's something I've been noticing this week. That what was it? I thought this will be a good week to notice the generosity of the world. My wife is out of town, and my son will be off school one day, and I'll be a single parent for a week, and I've got this going on and that going on, and you can just notice, like, wow, I don't even need to ask my mind to get all excited about things and try to figure them out and create plans and strategies for things. It just does it on its own. What are we going to do about this? And what are we going to do about that? And then my son was going to go to a daycare on Wednesday so that I could work, but then the child of the daycare person got hand, foot, and mouth disease. And so I couldn't send him there. And so, oh my God, and there's this thing and the other thing. And it's amazing the worlds that get created in here and how often they hurt. Like, it's amazing how basic it is. Generally, the worlds that I create in my mind are painful. Not always. I mean, sometimes it's like a lot of joy and fun and excitement and possibility and optimism and things like that. But in a way, that's just the other side of the coin for me. Um, that's the thing. Either I'm carrying around some big world in my mind about how things are going to be hard, 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 hard. That's not to say that there isn't real difficulty, because there is, right? Every life has difficulty. But I always like to put a little extra on there just for good measure, you know. Well, it's going to be hard and I'm not prepared for it and whatever it is. So I can tell that lugging that stuff around is not all that helpful. But then there's even something, there's some burden in carrying around the, uh, the world that I create about everything's going to be great or even everything's going to be fine. It's not that there's anything wrong with carrying around those worlds. It's just that they're not here. There's something more available than even this is going to work out great. Because you notice, I mean, I don't know if you notice this, but I notice this. Even when I think, wow, this is going to work out great, it's going to go like this, that, and the other. And then I show up and it's completely different than I imagined. It might be great in another way. It might be difficult in a way I hadn't anticipated. It might be whatever. Like I couldn't have anticipated the experience of sitting here with you this morning. There's just no way. And the experience of being here is far richer than any world I might have made up about how it's going to be. And whatever world it is that I'm carrying around in my mind, I just notice that, what's the word? It becomes a barrier to moving freely and responding to whatever's happening now. Hmm. That's particularly comes up for me when I give talks or I'm designing a half-day retreat or something. Like, got to come up with some kind of structure, or else, or else what, Jesse? I'm not sure, but it's helpful to have some kind of structure. Um, but then once you get on the ship and you get out to sea, conditions change. You know, you thought the wind was going to be blowing north northeast, but instead it's blowing to the south. And so, what do you do? How do you respond? So it's better to have nothing than something good. I was just talking to a guy yesterday, very successful, has a wonderful family, has a really good job. He's like a commercial airline pilot and has been doing it for decades. And so lots of good things. You know? But one of the things that he was lamenting was how hard it is to be rich. This is kind of great, right? And I thought, yeah, I can see that. He came back to that mo money, mo problems thing. He goes, "I've got this 6,000 square foot house." Oh, yes, hold on, I have to shed a tear for you. No, I'm just kidding. But it's true. I mean, he said, "God, I've got this gigantic house." And so, well, and the first thing that came out of my mouth is, "Wow, it's gotta be really hard to clean." And he goes, "Well, no, I hire people to clean it." And, I don't know, that sounds kinda difficult in and of itself. It's like it's far more complicated. So you got this great big house, and you've gotta hire somebody to clean it, and then the bigger the roof, the more the opportunity for leaks. The bigger the floor, the more the opportunity for scratches on the hardwood, all these things. And then, well, this is not his only house. He's got a couple more houses and all these things. And I appreciate that he can feel that that's not quite what he wants. Nothing wrong with having a big, beautiful house. I think that's great. But there's something about I was reaching for something, and this is what seemed like the right thing, and so I grabbed onto it. But then it's not really what we want. I mean, I'm assuming that. Oh, geez, poor Gina. I'm locking people out because I'm not used to setting up like a special Zoom meeting, and so I forgot to undo the waiting room thing. Sorry, Gina. So you can feel like, oh, I was reaching for this thing and I got it. And oftentimes it's what other people have told us we want, right? Well, it's the American dream. You get the house and the picket fence and the kids and the good job and blah, 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 whatever it is, whatever dream you grew up with. And, um, and then you get it. And well, now what? Mm, Now you have to maintain the boat and maintain the house or whatever it is. So you finally become the person that you want to become. I remember I got into really good physical shape one time. I was like, you know, really fit. And this is great. And actually, it's true. You do feel more confident when you're in good shape and you have big muscles and things. And then a couple months later, it was like, all right, well, I've done that. So now what? I stopped working out. I just thought, well, I don't know. It's not freedom. That's the thing that to me is it's better to have nothing than something good. You can never get too much of it. It's always available. No one can take it away from you. You don't have to maintain it. Mm, Kind of a wonderful thing. And you can notice this sometimes in when you lose something. What do you mean by that, Jesse? Let me come up with an example. Well, I think like actually the thing that comes to mind is that I've had a couple of friends who have had cancer diagnoses. And it's not just a special thing with cancer, although that's a big one. And one guy had a lot of complaints about his life. He He'd sort of been somewhat forcibly removed from where he lived in New England and loved it there, and was dragged by his wife to San Antonio, Texas. No, I'm not talking about me, for those of you who know anything about my story. But he got that he just hated it, everything about it. It's too big to have a community and the freeways, and you look out the window and it's just ugly. And I live in this like apartment complex where everything's just cookie cutter and blah blah blah. There's none of the soul that there was in New England. And I lived in San Antonio for 5 years, and I said, yes, yes, I totally understand what you're saying. I think it's hideous there too. But but also there's something underneath that, right? There's something underneath my preferences. There's something deeper than my preferences about something. Because when I lived in San Antonio, for much of that time, I felt very free. And yeah, was the foliage exactly to my liking? Well, not always, but yet there was still beauty, which is kind of a nice thing to know. wherever you are. And so he got a cancer diagnosis and started doing chemo. And if you've ever done chemo or known somebody who um, has done chemo, it can like be pretty brutal. And he'd go in for his infusions and actually started to form some friendships with the other people that were in the infusion center with him, which is kind of a sweet thing, you know. He goes in, he's sitting in there with the, you know, plugged in and getting the juice. And he would start reporting back to me that he was making friends with people and he was having a good time, and they would swap recipes and things like that. And then he noticed when the chemo drugs would knock him down, you know, to be really tired, and he just couldn't rely on his kind of his faculties anymore. He couldn't rely on that his energy would be there where he usually looked for it, or his focus, or his ability to think, or he's a big reader. He said, sometimes I'm just so tired I can't even read a book. You know? And but something started to change in him, and he started. Um, I started seeing more joy in him. There was this thing about he just said, you know, all this Zen shit you've been telling me, I think I'm starting to notice. I don't know that he admitted it like that, but he just said, I just have to focus on what's right here, right now, because I can't rely on how I'm going to feel in the next 5 or 10 minutes, you know. And that started to open things up for him. And a lot of the rules he had about his life they just didn't apply anymore. He couldn't live up to them, whatever it was. You know, it was too much work to hate San Antonio because he's got to worry about, will I have the energy to make lunch or something? So something, I don't know. I could just feel that things were becoming more precious to him. And he wasn't fighting with life so much. So there's something about that when you think about, well, what is my something good? Having nothing is better than something good. Well, what's your something good that you're always reaching for, or that maybe you have but you've got to maintain, or you think you don't have and so you feel bad about that, or whatever it is. And you know, some things there. I think there are degrees of, at least I notice for myself, and how something good can get in the way of things. Sometimes it's very little. You know, and it's helpful to have something good, like I would like to be a good father. And working on that. Um, but I've got an idea about what a good father is, which oftentimes really gets in the way of just being the father that I am, and sometimes being the father that my son needs. And so you can see, like, I have this big idea. A good father would never get upset, would never get impatient, would always be loving and patient, and have endless amounts of energy. And you know, it's like get to the second requirement. It's completely unrealistic, and it doesn't include at all what I actually am or what the situation needs. So it's kind of nice to notice that. And go, oh. And it's easy to look, I think it's easy to look at koans, and sometimes they kind of look like an instruction manual, or I can project an instruction manual on them. Well, it's better to have nothing than something good. Oh, I should get rid of all my belongings, and I should be like Ryokan and live in a hut off in the forest. And well, I don't know. That's the same thing to me as I need to get the big house. You know? I need to get the big house. I need to get no house. I need to get a fancy car. I need to get rid of my car. I need to lose weight. I need to gain weight. You know, it's still living in that world of it's not here yet. And so it's not necessarily about the thing itself, right? Or the value, whatever the thing is that you're carrying around. It's just about our relationship with it. I can have a fancy car, but feel free in my relationship to it, and, whatever it is. I'd like to be a good father, and sometimes I'm not, or I'm just whatever father I am. So it's better to have nothing than something good. Right. So, oh yeah. So it's not necessarily a description. I mean, an instruction manual on how to get to enlightenment. Just get rid of all your stuff. My experience is it's just a description of what it's like to be there. You know, and there's a big smash sound downstairs. Because you don't need an instruction manual, actually. Um, I notice that more and more. I just need to sit and be with others who are sitting. And a lot of what we need, I think, is encouragement. A lot of the time, to say it's all right, it's okay, just keep doing your practice. Wherever you are, it's all right. Just to notice what's it like to be here. To love the life you have, that might be enough. If you can't love the life you have, then love that. So let's sit some more and have nothing or have whatever it is we have. Actually, as far as instructions go, I come back a lot to Dogen's thing about the way of Zen is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be awakened by everything. And so it's kind of nice. It lowers the bar for participation. All you have to do is just, oh, I wonder what it's like to be here. Early on in my practice, my first teacher said, um, at some point you have to start throwing things overboard. I'm still not exactly sure how you do that, but seems like when I notice what I'm lugging around, then things go overboard. I love looking at people's faces after meditation. This is kind of like far away look. Yeah, you know that look. You know what it feels like. Isn't that amazing? I come back to this like, I'll go to a retreat or something and get a nice big dose of Zen, and I go, oh my God, this stuff is real. Because somehow I forget it in the day to day sometimes. That, wow, this like freedom stuff actually. It can happen to you. It can happen to anyone. It's nice that it doesn't. It's like a teacher that gave his clothes to the thief. It doesn't matter what kind of person you are, or what kind of person you think you are, or you know how you measure up to others, or whether you're skinny enough, or rich enough, or nice enough, or whatever it is. Freedom has nothing to do with that. The Buddha has no interest in your like the Bodhidharma thing about the emperor saying, "I've given all these monies to Buddhist teachings and built temples, and what merit have I earned?" And the response came back, "No merit." And it's nice to know. And actually, I find that incredibly relieving. That's that's the no reason to be happy thing. It just joy just comes on its own. And seems like I just have to keep putting myself here. Oh, that's right. I have a life and it's happening right now. Oh, that's right. I have a life and it's happening right now. Oh, that's right. Forget about that. And yeah, and that's the generosity, I think, that we can just have joy for no reason, and that also we can we can be available to the whole spectrum of human experience. We can really have our sorrow, or we can really have our anger, or our worry, or our whatever it is, and that starts to look like a blessing. I don't think I should be having something else than what I have is pretty amazing. Here's another funny little story from this. I love reading out of this book, this pocket-sized, like, I remember when I first got it, like, I would carry it around in my pocket because I thought, yes, this is how I will get there. I will carry this Zen book around in my pocket. It didn't hurt that I think at the time I thought it probably made me look kind of cool to other people that I was reading Zen stuff. So I'm not sure if that worked, but when Banzan was walking through a market, he overheard a conversation between a butcher and his customer. "Give me the best piece of meat you have," said the customer. "Everything in my shop is the best," replied the butcher. "You cannot find here any piece of meat that is not the best." At these words, Banzan became enlightened. So it's kind of great thing about that. Every day is a good day. Every piece of meat is the best. Every emotion, every thought, every tree, every person, it's all the best. Holy shit. You know? And if you look at somebody and you think, I don't think they're the best, then, well, that's the best. It's just like infinite regressions in that way, mirrors upon mirrors upon mirrors, whatever is appearing. And we can just ride on that all the way through our lives, one stepping stone rising out of nothing. Or maybe no stepping stones arise, I don't know. But kind of a beautiful thing. Let's hear from some other people. Can I hear from Holly? Would you like to say anything?
You said something at the beginning about it's all already here, and it was exactly what I needed to hear. So I have a lot of angst today, so I'm befriending my angst a bit. It's good to be with you all.
Likewise.
Thank you.
If you pronounce it angst, then it sounds like it's more romantic, and yeah, there you go. But that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Yeah, you can have you can really be disturbed or something, and wow, you can bring that to your practice. You can bring that to your community. You can, and thanks for coming. And in some way, that's a generous thing to all of us, actually, when you bring whatever it is you have, you know. So thank you. Gina, would you like to say anything?
Uh, um, I was listening on my walk, and this is the koan I've been working with for a long time, and I've always objected to the nothing, and that's what I've been working on for months. And I was so excited when you started to talk about it, and then I had technical difficulties, and I spent 10 minutes out of the temple trying to get back and knowing I was missing the gem, and it was a good laugh. Um, but I'm gonna have to listen to the recording because I'm really curious, what you specifically had to say about that, and, I've been learning a lot with nothing. So, thanks, Jesse. It's really great morning.
Whatever you got is more valuable than whatever I said. That's great. Isn't that wonderful? There's that funny thing about koans about that. They seem to, the universe kind of organizes itself around if I have a koan, something funny. Oh, I notice I keep losing things or whatever the thing is. Like these funny themes and rhymes and jokes that pop up. And if I can get hip to that, then that's a hopeful thing. I think, oh, the universe is being clever right now. It's trying to get my attention. So good for you. Yeah, nice. How about Mario? Do you want to say anything? I was afraid you were going to call. I was like, oh no, Jesse, no, no. Um, and then the reason is I can feel myself get kind of anxious about it. Like, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? Of course, all this stuff goes on in my mind um, about during the sit, and really lovely things about some anxieties I'm having, and just like feeling the happiness inside that. And it's like right inside, parallel right to it. Some disappointments recently. Just having that sense of relaxing, and that first relaxation into it feels like I think you just said it a little bit ago, like a blessing. So the relaxing part, and then my ideas about what is going on, letting those down. Like, you were talking about throwing the things overboard or the leaves falling from the tree. I don't know, the happiness or joy seems like too large a word to try to encapsulate. So I was just kind of being with the relaxation, the lowering of the sense of needing to do something, having to push or manipulate or bend or fold. Yeah, I think I'll stop there. Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. Yeah, I like what you said about the whatever word you have is not quite it. It is something, because even calling it joy or happiness or something limits it and makes it a thing, then that some golden ring that you got to reach for. And it also reminds me of a long time ago, I read a book by Charlotte Joko Beck. Maybe it was Everyday Zen or something, but I really liked her. And an image of hers that has stuck with me is she's talking about something about meditation, relaxing onto the cold couch. And the image in my mind is like relaxing naked onto a couch of ice, which is like, you can see my psyche gets really dramatic with things. But that's how it is, right? Like it's okay. And but once the resistance sort of relaxes, then the richness of whatever it is, like you said, disappointment or satisfaction, or that's the thing about that every piece of my meat is best. Even the stringy, tough, dry piece of meat. It's like, stringy, tough, dry. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. And maybe one more person. Laura, Ferguson, would you like to say anything?
Boy, I feel like there's so much stirring up, um, mixing the better to have nothing than something good with everything is the best, and not picking and choosing. And if you can't have the life you have, I mean, if you can't love the life you have, then love that. Um, I was all about it's better than to have nothing than something good when you were talking about it. And then when I was meditating, I was thinking about relationships with other people and how much work they can be, and better to have nothing than something good. Like, I was adding that to the pot. And my personal koan right now is, what is the source of no? And, so all of this just springing up out of, you know, I don't know. It's, I'm really, I don't know, in the twirl right now. So yeah, I just really appreciate your taking the cushion. Love all of that. Thanks.
Thank you. So I'm imagining that when you said the thing about relationships, that it's like when you think nothing would be like no relationships or get rid of the relationship or something. Yeah, yeah. So interesting, isn't it? Like how that's a really just a fascinating thing about how my mind will go. Oh, I know what the problem is. When it means nothing, that means I should get rid of this thing or whatever it is. But yeah, oftentimes there's something incredibly subtle in there. Like I can really relate to. I think fuck, human relationships are just nothing but trouble. I'm not sure the juice. What is it? The juice is worth the squeeze all the time, or whatever it is. But oftentimes when I look at, well, why is that? Then there's some weird dance that I'm doing in the relationship that's making it. This is purely for me, but that's making it really painful. Like I'm trying to impress the person, or I want them to love me, or I want them to stop doing this thing that irritates me, or. And so then I can go, oh, I see. That's actually the thing that's causing me the pain. And yeah, then I'm in some way I'm resisting, I'm rejecting this person, or I'm rejecting this experience. And that's the thing that occurs in my own heart, which seems hopeful because I have almost no hope for changing anybody else. It's like I've pretty much given up on that. Well, I don't know. Ask my wife; she'll say, "Well, you tried to change me yesterday," um, but yeah, that's a nice, yeah, where the rubber hits the road. Like, what is the nothing? What is the thing actually? To be very precise about what is the thing that is creating the suffering right here? That's getting in the way. Yeah, and I talk to a lot of people who go, well, whatever it is, I'm having all these troubles with people, and so I blocked everybody on Facebook, whatever. And I go, I'm not really sure. And then they unblock them 2 weeks later, and there's like this. So you could tell, like that's a part of the mind. I need a better car. No, I need to get rid of the car. I need a better friend. No, I need to get rid of the friend. If only I. And then underneath that, that's a kind of nice thing you can rely on, is that freedom is not uh, interested in anything like that. Um, One last thing, and then I think we'll bring it in. But like my wife is, she works in animal welfare, and she's having a big event yesterday, a big spay neuter vaccination event, and she didn't have enough volunteers, and so I said, "Well, I'll go help you," but also that means that we'll have to find care for our 4.5-year-old, and so we're going to send him to his grandmother's house. But then she got sick, and so I was like, well, maybe we can send him to a friend's house, but then we need to drop him off at 6 a.m. in the morning. So can we drop him off at grandma's house, and then she takes him over there at 8 a.m. and then, oh wait, I'm just finding out from my wife that we're not going to be home till 7 p.m. So can the friend keep him that long? Do we need to send him back to sick grandma's house? And you just like, oh my god, like just talking about it's making me feel a little bit sick. And at some point, I'm in the middle of all this, and this isn't even my event, right? You can tell, like, I'm getting out of my lane here and trying to manage something that, in a way, doesn't really belong to me, which is all this my thing about making sure everybody's happy and everybody's taken care of, and one of my unconscious things that I do. So I said to my wife, "Oh shit, my mom says she's got a fever." So I don't know about taking him over there tomorrow morning at like 5:45 in the morning. And she goes, well, just don't go. It'll be fine. And I went, oh, it's like everything's settled. And I thought it was incredibly generous of her to say that, because that meant she was going to be doing a lot more work. But that was the thing, that was the true thing in that moment. And it could have come out of I didn't have, in a way, I couldn't see that. I couldn't see clearly that that's actually what the situation needed, and that whatever was going to happen with the event was going to happen with the event, but that I was so tightly trying to manage everything and arrange all the pieces just so. And that's the freedom moment. In a way, it's the throwing overboard of the idea that, well, everybody's got to be taken care of, and that's my responsibility, and whatever it is. And everything was fine. She had a great event. My son still went over to the friend's house. I stayed home and just goofed off all day. So it worked out pretty well for me too. Right. But there's yeah, getting in the way of getting in the way of the Tao. Right? Is and it's painful. I could just feel that there was no way through that situation and the way that I was doing it, but for whatever reason, I couldn't throw that overboard, and I just kept digging. So it's a good thing to notice. Oh boy. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jordan, and everyone who spoke, and thank you everyone for showing up. It's such a treat to get to do this.